Okay, we're on.
Woo!
Woo!
Episode
Alright,
2.
Episode 2. We'll see how many episodes we can pump out.
Oh,
Plenty.
yeah, plenty.
Okay. Anyways, thanks for coming back, Jay.
Always a pleasure.
Alright, thank you. We're gonna talk about something very interesting today, right?
What is that?
And it's gonna be what every student question during their sophomore, junior, and senior year.
That must be a very important question.
It is a very important question. So the question today is, when it comes to choosing colleges, right? You need to know the distinct or like the clear differences, or be aware of the general characteristic of the school type.
Right.
So today is going to be about public versus private school.
Oh, wow.
We are talking about college, by the way.
Oh, yes, of course.
Right, it's not school like boarding school, high school. So for those who are questioning, or those who wants to understand the clear difference between these two types of school, we're here to help you today. Yes. All right, Jay. So you are currently attending what school?
One of the biggest public universities.
Okay, so you know what? We're going to do this. We're going to do this fun sort of like, ping pong match, right? Where I'm going to defend or talk about private school, and you're going to talk about public school. Is that fair?
Seems fair to me.
Good, good. All right, so let's get started.
All
right. Drum rolls? No? Great. Private versus public colleges. Let's briefly talk about the outermost obvious difference of these two schools, right?
All right.
Or these two types. Let me ask you a question. What is private and what is public to you?
Well, the major difference, right?
Yeah.
The public is funded by the government.
Yes.
Well, you can see it in the name, basically. Well, University of California.
Yes.
Which is the group of schools that
Yes.
are in the same name, but they differentiate by city, like UCLA, Los Angeles, and Berkeley, and so on and so forth. Or there's like state colleges.
Yes.
Michigan State, California State, a variety of state colleges, and they're all funded by the government. Whereas private colleges, sorry, let me specify that, are funded by individuals, not the government.
So Jay knows the big difference here. I mean, before you apply to school, right? You obviously have to search a bit of the difference between the private, or did you sort of like, did someone teach you these differences? Because not many people understand the differences.
Oh yeah. Well, I knew. I think I searched and always knew that there were private and public, but someone had to teach me that the difference between profit and non-profit,
yes,
with private schools that branch out.
So let's talk about then. We're gonna dig deeper right now into private school, okay?
All right.
Because like you said, it's going to there's two different branch, right? Or it branches off into two different types
of private colleges.
Yes.
Okay.
One is non-profit. Two is profit. So let's talk about the non-profit first, okay?
Okay.
So non-profit. What do you think?
Well, for non-profits, their first and foremost goal is the quality of education for the students. They're not really profit-driven, so they don't want to or pursue a specific research, let's say, or a program just to make money out of it. And well, the most notable are probably the three maybe most famous colleges worldwide, right? MIT, Harvard, Stanford, and so on and so forth.
Yes. So the non-profits, I guess, they do care about their first, like you said, the first and foremost goal is the education of the student, right? That doesn't mean though like they don't really care about profits. I mean, they do.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but it's I guess that kind of that makes the the clear sort of definition of what non-profit means. Also, then for me, I guess I need to talk about the profit, right? private colleges are like a small companies. I think that's the best way to put it, right? Like they work like a corporation because they do care about the profits. But here's the thing: they do care about the education, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or else why would they build college, right? So these two differences we just have to know, right? All right. So I guess we talked about the most obvious difference.
Mm-hmm.
What is the most biggest, or sorry, not most biggest, what is the biggest difference?
Well, the biggest in every sense of the word has to be the size difference.
Oh yeah, size in terms of
enrollment. So the student population.
Yes.
And that comes with tuition. Since
can you talk on behalf of the public, the UCLA?
Yeah. For my school,
yeah,
the in-state tuition is 9,000.
9,000. Okay, in-state tuition. Is that a year? 1 year?
Yes.
Okay.
Year. So I mean, I guess you could separate into quarters, and well, that's my school specifically,
okay.
But that's I guess a topic for another day.
Yeah.
And out of state, it's 32,000 for us right now.
Okay.
As of now.
So in-state, 9,000. Out of state, 32,000. So that's about 3 times that the out of state students have to pay for the tuitions.
And that's because the government pays most of the fees that cover the tuitions for the public universities. And so I guess you could see it kind of like students aren't really paying for the actual attendance cost.
Okay.
Which makes the tuition relatively lower than private universities.
All right. Okay. So then I guess because I need to talk, right? Like we said, I'm going to talk about the private. He's dead on point, dead right on that point. That the biggest difference here is the size, right? For the private, because it's not funded by the government, right? And that most of the money that flows in are from the alumni, right? So alumni here is those who graduated from that same college, right? And that's one of the reasons why private colleges look for legacy, right? Right. So if you're from, I can't really say this publicly, but I think I can, because we all know what legacy really means, right? Yeah, but the thing is, legacy, like for example, if your mother and grandmother and like your relative all from Harvard, like you're likely are going to get into Harvard, right? And also, there's a lot of different legacy that we need to discuss. And right, if you're the first member of the family who will attend to college, or who is applying to college, is another legacy, right? So there's a lot of different legacy we have to talk about. That's, again, a topic for another day, right?
Yes.
Legacy is a big thing, guys. All right, so again, private, not funded by government, right? And whether you're in-state or out of state, you have to pay the same amount of tuition. And the average cost, I think, is about 40K. It was much less like 5 to 6 or 7 years ago, but there was that big incremental increase of tuition in last 5 years. So
gee, that's hefty.
It is. It's like half. It's like 50K a year, 4 years. That's about 200K. You're in debt for 200. Like imagine you're in debt. Like if your parents can pay, you have to, right?
And there's so many other expenses that.
Yeah, there's so many other, like if you're international, you have to take the flight. You have to live with your friends or whatever, right?
Room and board.
And you have to eat every single day.
Yeah, food.
I mean, sure, you have that meal plan,
right?
But that's not enough for the late night snack. So all that kind of things add up. It's about 70, 80K. I know some students even pay 100K per year. That's 400K in debt. That's like, wow. I can start like 3 business with 400K, right? So you guys have to understand that there's a lot of cost when you're trying to get into private school. All right, so now let's talk about the offerings. What do they offer?
Well, for public schools, it's student bodies are they go up to around 30,000.
What about your
even
school?
More. Our school, I think around 40,000. I'm not exactly sure on the numbers.
That's kind of, we don't have the statistic here, guys. So we're only giving the approximate right estimate. We might be wrong, but it seems true. It seems right
Around
because they have like close to 11 to 12K applicants per year.
Yes.
Right. So.
And so that means you're more likely to find a lot of programs. I guess you could even say, to a certain degree, you can find any program that you imagine.
So give me a program that you found was so interesting. You looked at it, you'd be like, wow, I've never imagined this class would exist. Was there any class that you saw, like like the first year or second year, you look through the course list, right?
Well, I don't think, for me,
yeah.
Well, courses, there were definitely outliers as well. Like there are certain math courses.
Oh yeah.
That did not stick to the really conventional methods of teaching calculus, for example. And this professor really believed that we needed to incorporate Python with calculus, and he just created a course with that, his own textbook, and that was offered as one of our lower division classes.
Okay. So that's like a sort of, created with trials and errors, I guess.
Yeah,
or like,
I would
okay.
assume so.
And then it was relatively, I guess, easier to create courses because there's a lot of students who's going to take it anyways. Or like having a lot of different programs is what they like or what they pursue. So.
And I mean, you got to seat all 30,000.
Oh, yeah.
So that's also a lot of different classes would be offered.
Okay.
And there are also lots of student organizations and things, and certain things like theater companies, for example. There are at least 3 or 4 of them out there, and it kind of depends on what you're more into, whether it's like for plays, acting for plays or movies. Well, I was just surprised that what kind of people they have produced in the past. Most notably, the bunch of Netflix special or comedians who have Netflix specials or Netflix movies, like Randall Park, just to name one person. But yeah, those kinds of organizations, I think, would be some of the offers that public universities, at least UCLA, has.
Okay, so yeah, public, I guess, then the downside is you have to sort of self-navigate, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right, because if you look at the class size, like you said, it's so many.
And the ratio.
So many people, right? The ratio, it's ridiculous. It may go up to like 1 to 20, right?
1 to 20?
1 to 10, 1 to 20, like, so it means one teacher per like 20 students, right?
Not even teacher, right?
Oh, like faculty member, right? So that means you just have to sort of understand what you're doing, right? By yourself, because you might not get that sort of help every single day,
right?
All right, for private, not many choices in terms of, I guess, the UCLA programs like Jay suggested, but and also some schools have even less than 500 students, like the Caltech, right? They have 200 students
200 wow.
per class or something. So schools like liberal arts or engineering are very specialized, and they are and these are some of the examples, I think, that I can think of on top of my head. But I mean, these schools are so small, right? That one of the advantage of this school is that you can get help right away. You can get connected to your teacher right away. Your teacher can remember your name. I mean, that's one thing.
Is it really that easy?
I'm not sure. It depends on your. I guess it also depends on your characteristic and personality too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you're so, extrovert and love to hang out, and you're that guy who is such a gregarious kind of characteristic, then yeah, even in the public school, teachers will remember you, right? Right. So I mean, we're only talking about like general kind of pool here, right? So. For most of you guys need to figure out whether you are self-navigated sort of person. You love to sort of pave your own path. You do your own research. It's okay, right? Or if you're if you're a person who loves to get help, get connected, right? And maybe the self-study is not one of your biggest sort of arsenal, then maybe private college might be a good fit, right? All right, so another one that we need to talk about is what are some opportunities? Can you tell me some of the opportunities that public schools provide to the students?
There's more funding for public schools.
More
because
funding.
of government support.
Okay.
But I think, and that opens up research opportunities.
Okay.
Very notable ones that are constantly mentioned in scientific papers. I've seen lots of mentorship offered by professors, but considering the student body size, what did I say? The average was like 30,000?
30,000, yeah.
Or more, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes it kind of competitive and very hard to stand out from the crowd.
Okay. So like what you're saying is if 100 students wants to have the same research, right? Then like you just have to stand out. Compared to private, probably 10 students might apply to that same research or have that same idea. Okay, so that's very reasonable, I think. And I think that's very true too. Private here, I guess for the opportunity for private school is that because private school have less money than the public school because of the funding that the government give to the public school, right? And the fact that private school have to rely on alumni, money, I guess. I think the research is also it's not that much of a difference because there's less research paper going on anyways in comparison or to that of the UCLA. Like we're talking about just size, right? A lot of people would, I guess, I you know what that's a very hard topic. I think I can't really say that private schools will have less research opportunities or more students will participate more research opportunities for the public school.
Well, I think the ratio is kind of difficult.
Yeah, it's ratio very difficult, right?
But just considering the playing field difference,
I guess the very plain and obvious merit for a private school is that you can get the connection, and that's one of the things that I kept saying for the last couple of things that we talked about. I guess it's the connection that you can build with your professors. Also, they can help you with the research that you want because you will build that connections with your professors, and they will get to know you much better, and etc. So that's pretty much it. So let's go on to the most probably now it gets a little fun, I guess. The school life. Very excited to learn about the school life. What about the school life? How was your school life?
Well, I think a lot of kids would be interested in learning about the party scenes.
Okay.
Greek life.
Okay.
And to that, I can only say maybe, and I guess this is to build anticipation for them so that they will be even more amazed, possibly, when they come to certain public or private colleges. But for public schools, so many things are going on at the same time. And the thing
give me one.
It never stops.
Give me one thing that you found so interesting.
I think
parade,
Parades are more
Group parties, like what?
Yeah, I mean parties
Sure.
around the block,
Okay.
and they go to like apartments.
Okay. So can you just join if you're a UCLA student? Can you just like, can I come in or like?
What? I think it's a little more.
You
They
have to
don't.
sign
They
up
don't. They
for
don't
it?
screen people.
You like okay, but you have to sign up for it. No.
No.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Like people are interested, right? Like, can I like if you're like if you're roaming around the campus and you see some people doing something like, oh, what is that? Can I come in? Like, is that something?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Very friendly, I guess.
I think you can definitely find somewhere.
Okay.
Just go in, say hi.
Say hi. Okay. Well, like, is it really like that friendly? You think?
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, I think it's that friendly.
Okay. So if you like that friendly environment, do you recommend UCLA? Do you ask around? Can I join your party?
I'm biased. Oh, obviously, I'm gonna say yes. Come to UCLA. It's great.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
But I mean, I think
They're a great school.
I'm also biased on public universities.
Oh, okay.
In a sense.
Okay. All right. So public. I guess yeah. And also, what about the dorm life? You know.
I think public universities
Yeah.
are more likely to have less students in dorms,
Oh, okay.
ratio wise, obviously,
Okay.
because
Because way too many students, right?
it was way too many students, and some restrict third years or fourth years, and they just say, "Oh, we're not gonna offer you, or you're
Okay.
not gonna be considered."
Then where do you have to live?
Apartments,
Apartments. Are they
Or-
cheap?
depending on your area. That's very much depending on where your school is, the
Okay.
city, the town.
But like, I guess if it's kind of expensive, then you can actually like, that's like a one of the very hot debate I think, for students because they have to work, right, to pay off their rent.
Mm-hmm.
Because like colleges aren't gonna pay your apartment fees,
Right.
right?
Oh, there are programs where you make money, or you get a student job.
Right. Like when I was in college, I worked for, our big library. I worked as a educator too. So like I have to pay for my own sort of like allowances and stuff.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. For private, very different, I guess, kind of. Now that I hear from you, I mean, I know public, but usually, you have to live in a dorm for 4 years. Not that you have to, but like you can. They're not going to push you away like the public. Diverse, but in just small scale, right? Maybe just you have one cooking sort of, one or two cooking related, club or organization or whatever,
Okay.
compared to like 15 different,
Right.
Asian,
All different cuisine.
yeah, all different quiz, like different, purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like for me, when I was young, I joined StarCraft Club, and that was like the only club that we made. But then like it was easy for it to go like expand because our like my school was big,
Mm-hmm.
so it like there's like 20 different kind of clubs that was related to StarCraft or like anything related to esports.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're that guy who wants to just taste a lot of different things, maybe public is really great for you, right?
I think we even have a team.
For what?
Teams for esports.
Oh yeah, esports is so big now. It's a couple $1 billion business. All right. So in a nutshell, let's break it down and let's actually conclude this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Conclude by saying
Okay.
or conclude with this question. So how do you decide which one is a better fit for you? Now that we all talked about, the most obvious to the most talked about and things that we also discussed, right?
So we're giving like checklists.
Yeah, we're giving a checklist. So have your book out, guys.
All right. Well,
So the first one
the first one.
is, are you a people person, right? I think that's one of the first thing that I would say.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that first check mark
Mm.
goes to the public.
Okay. So the first one, if you're a people person, then I think public is good for you. Okay. Second, what about your introvert? You like that tucked away, love your space, your own space. Then what?
That would be private.
That would be private. Agree. The next one is, do you know what exactly you want? Do you know your own? Are you a self-driven person?
If you have a particular course in mind, like research,
Yeah.
then maybe more advanced research facilities like UCLA for science.
Or like any other public school? Okay. What about for the people who are more flexible, right? Or who are seeking for flexibility? Their interest is not fixed.
For flexibility, then
Like the thing is, maybe they don't want that one major, like that one path. They want to taste one or two things, not fixed, but still flexible.
private.
Okay. So if you're a student who aren't 100% sure about your then that goes out for every student, like almost majority of the population, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. What about if you're an independent learner? You're that person who loves to take out your map, right, and your calendar, and write everything down. You're that person who plans a year ahead. What about that person?
Public,
100%. Okay, me too. What about someone who likes to talk to and get some guidance? Needs some extra sort of relationship. I want that connection. I want that build with. I want to build something, whatever it is.
That would be private school in 15 or more words that you
Okay.
just said.
All right. So now we talked almost all. There's so many little subtle, differences you have to know, but I think we sort of covered almost all of the big differences here, right?
And I think those small differences we'd have to go into like institutions.
Yeah, of course.
Different
Institutions, your personal taste, right? I mean, you just don't want to be in West Coast, right?
Right.
You just want to be in the East Coast, right? So these things, we're not going to talk about it because they're very specific to individual, right? So I hope this sort of knowledge, this talk that we had, this rich conversation we had on the topic of public versus private helped anybody who's listening, right? Did anybody sort of went over this with you when you're preparing for the college application?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I guess you kind of understand when you search the
Right.
college up, right? One by one. But I think this is super important, right? Because knowing this, you can sort of, my favorite saying, separate the wheat from the chaff. Like you can find out your own kind of taste, right? You may not be public at all, but all the schools are only public.
Right, and then
you may not, vice versa.
And then you go into public.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh shoot, this is not my school. So understand your taste, guys. 100%, it's so helpful.
Don't be left out.
Yeah. All right, I'll see you guys next time with a different topic, and I'll see you again, Jay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, see ya.